Radical left-wing heartthrob Rachel Gilmore has once again been fired from another job, this time from CTV as a fact checker. Ladies and gents, welcome back from the great state of Texas. I'm visiting down here for a few weeks, so I'll be back on the 11th. Don't worry about it. I'm not left Canada for good just yet. But I want to talk about this story of Rachel Gilmore. Rachel Gilmore, once again fired from another job, this time from CBC or CTV News. She was to be a fact checker weekly. Now, I want to make for sure certain in this video, I'm not reveling in the fact that she got fired. In fact, Marty and I were looking forward to reporting on her fact checks because we know just how accurate those fact checks would likely be. But hey, how about we talk about this? So let's just get into this. Here's Rachel Gilmore in her own words after being canceled by CTV News.
This is the real impact of the harassment that I have to deal with. After CTV Your Morning announced that I would be joining them every Friday of the campaign to do a fact check, a bunch of bad faith right-wingers who hate me for no other reason than I have reported accurately on the things that people they agree with politically have said and done.
This is rich because this is what she's done to so many people. Now, I'll tell you what, myself and Marty up north were not some of those right wingers that were trying to get her canceled. We were actually looking forward to this show. Marty tweeting this one out saying, Clyde, do something, and I were going to incorporate a segment into our weekly show where we fact check Rachel. By the way, if you don't know about the show, it's a weekly show. It airs every Thursday morning, but we do it live on Wednesday evenings. So that'll be tonight. If you're catching this tonight, go make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you have the notification bell rung, but it'll be at 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern. We're going to start tomorrow, but she got bumped on Friday. CTV made some excuse. Now she'll be fired. Now she's been fired. LOL. She's completely delusional. She honestly believes that she's a serious journalist. Now, this was a clip from the show last week where we were actually discussing this in particular.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. This is obviously a very important topic, and I have some big feelings about it.
Oh yeah, big feelings.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah.
Oh man, this is.
So I'm gonna do we're gonna do, maybe you and I can do this as a mini segment next week. We'll fact check a couple of her fact checks because I'm gonna keep an eye on her. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Fact checking the fact checkers. I mean, it's that just goes back and forth over. That's so funny. So this is where we were going with it. But let's check out the rest of the video and what she had to say about getting fired from CTV for being the fact checker. And then we'll get into some of her previous fact checking to see just how accurate of a reporter she's been historically.
They just swarmed, including someone who up until a week before the election was Pierre Poilievre's main spokesperson and is still on Pierre Poilievre's team.
Which would indicate that, you know, slamming her for her rather inaccurate fact checks is a mainstream opinion.
Yesterday, CTV called me and informed me that I've lost this career opportunity. Because I was worried that they were going to be spineless, I recorded the phone call. And in that phone call, CTV made it extremely clear that this was being canceled because of the online backlash, not because of my skill set, not because of anything that I have said or done, but because of the way that these bad faith trolls were talking about me online. Bad faith trolls and a member of Pierre Poilievre's team. Before I play you any of this audio, I want you to understand that this is why these guys do this. This is why I get harassed so badly, because they know that it'll work. If you see someone reporting on
so that is a really rich point, because this is why she's gone after other people in her career, doxing people or using particular tactics, going after their outing who their employers are, advertisers, things like this. They know that it works, and they'll do just that. Now, well, before we get into this, because I don't want to show her, her recording of a private conversation. I think that that's kind of scummy behavior. I don't condone that sort of thing. So I'm not going to even share that with you guys. But let's talk about some of the stuff that she's done in the past. So here's Brittany. You know her. She's been on the channel before talking about political issues in Canada. She's well known for exposing lots of people in honest ways. But she's reporting here that Rachel Gilmore posted my job online to try and get me fired. Since she's since been fired 3 times. So she was fired from Global News for a situation where she defamed a veteran who is marching across Canada. His name was James Top. She defamed him by putting in the URL to the story, James Top, white supremacist. That sprung a lawsuit and got her fired. Of course, she was fired from another job where she was brought on to be, I want to say this is an extortion racket job, where the main job of the industry, the main job of this organization was to find people that they politically disagree with and find their advertisers and go and harass the advertisers. She was even fired from that job and now fired again from CTV. But let's get into more of this stuff. Stacy writing on X, I woke up to see that Rachel Gilmore is crying about being fired by CTV after only one election fact-checking segment, which she got fact-checked on, which is hilarious. I mean, but this is the thing. It's just hilarious. And if they were firing her for just for the case of being a bad fact checker, I would be totally on board with that. But we'll get into that in a moment here. Let's just talk about some of the things that she's actually done that is factually inaccurate. Rachel perpetuated the Ottawa arson freedom convoy lie, which was then repeatedly used until called out by parliamentary committee meeting by Marco Mendicino, who is Mark Carney's acting chief of staff. So this lie took place during the Freedom Convoy, where they were saying that people had tried to light a fire in a building and then secure the doors so that people couldn't get out of the building and tie it to the Freedom Convoy. Not true. It was absolutely false. And the police, when the police report came out, I reported on this at the time, when the police report came out, I said there was no evidence whatsoever to suggest that those people had anything to do with the convoy, and it was largely an unsuccessful effort. But this was the successful effort was the propaganda to tie those things. Rachel also got her ass fired, and her employer sued by painting James Top as a white supremacist when Pierre Poilievre met with Top to speak to him about his walk across Canada. That's right. So I just mentioned that a minute ago. The post, she posted and laughed at a guy, right-wing journalist, who was beaten by Antifa. And it goes on. It goes on and on and on. This is the behavior of this woman. And again, I'm not saying that, I'm not calling for her to be fired. In fact, I was looking forward to the segment that we were going to do, laughing at her ridiculousness. And the fact that CTV would even employ somebody of that caliber, but that's where we're at with that. And we can all remember this scene. This is Rachel Gilmore in the past, and we can never forget scenes quite like this. But this was her reporting during the during the pandemic.
Are you going to invite your unvaccinated relatives to sit at the dinner table with you this Thanksgiving? Experts are saying you might not want to risk it. Here's why.
Experts say, this is my favorite journalistic tactic, to say something that you believe. you find somebody in some academic position that agrees with you politically, and then you run as if that's the consensus on a subject. Anyway, here's what she said.
According to one expert from McMaster University, vaccines are super effective, but they're most effective when you're surrounded by other vaccinated people. If you invite someone who isn't vaccinated, there's a risk of having a breakthrough case. Now, breakthrough cases are pretty rare. There's only ever been about 8,000 in Ontario, but kids can't get vaccinated yet. So part of keeping those kids as safe as possible is telling that one uncle who chooses not to get vaccinated that he might have to sit this one out. One bioethicist said that that's actually the more ethical thing to do. She also said you should try talking to your relatives about how safe vaccination is. The best way to do that is to start the conversation from a place of respect and empathy. say
I'm not even going to continue with this one, and I'm not even going to argue the points. If you want to do that in the comment section down below, be my guest. That's hilarious. Of course, government.exe is corrupt, posting on X saying, CTV they said they'd paid Rachel Gilmore for her time and asked if she could just keep the conversation quiet about being canceled and making it private, keeping it private. What does she do? She goes out and she releases it to social media. Not a very smart move. And again, I'm not going to play that conversation because that's just unethical. It's not right to do stuff like that. But here we go. There's just more examples. In 2022, from Leah writes, in 2022, Rachel Gilmore predicted her own demise. And she had a tweet that said this exactly. News agencies have codes of ethics, standards of practices that we have to adhere to. When we went to school for this or mentored under working reporters, if I regularly violated journalistic ethics by, say, publishing inaccurate information, I'd be fired. Wow, this is just amazing. It's just amazing how this goes. It's so good. Mario Zelia posting on here. I mean, there's so many examples. I just grabbed as many as I could in a short period. But Mario Zelia is saying, in my opinion, Rachel Gilmore gets zero pity for losing yet another job. She misled her followers by misrepresented me as a 51st state supporter post tariffs. Yes, pre-tariffs. I liked most of Trump's policies. She got her following to leave dozens of negative reviews on my business as though it affected my livelihood. So wait, the tactics of leaving bad reviews is something that she rails against, but she encouraged people to do this against Mario Zelia's business. When she did that, conservatives came to defend me. They promoted my business despite all the negative reviews. I had the busiest week all year. It literally brought me more business in Google, and Google removed all the negative reviews. I can't tag her because she blocked me shortly after she did that. But when it suits her, she plays the victim card as though she does nothing wrong and has a nasty group of trolls that for some odd reason do like her. I never seen anyone else on this platform other than Trudeau get more hate than her, but based on my personal experience, I now understand why. This is the truth. But I want to turn this around because we want to have a good respectful conversation on these topics. Rupa Subramanya really put a great point out there, saying that I'm not big on fact checking. It's politicized, biased, and reductant. How that we have community notes, but the C in CTV may as well stand for cowards. They passed up a chance to pull in viewers because they were afraid of Rachel Gilmore's troll base. So this is the statement that they said in even on their own platform, saying that they did this because they just didn't have the bandwidth to deal with these trolls that came up and were calling for her to be fired. I think this. I'm gonna have to agree with Rupa. If you're gonna have the audacity to hire someone like that, you obviously looked at her resume. You looked at all the things that she's done in the past. You should take one for the team and keep her on. Unless you have some other position for her. But if you fire her just because of people reaching out with angry comments, that's a lack of courage. That's definitely a lack of courage in my books. But I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comment section down below. And we'll see you tonight in the Marty and Clyde live stream. It takes place every Wednesday at 6:30 Pacific time. That's 9:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. And keep on trucking.